Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today we're going to be talking about the trans person that I always make stuff about, Lynn, and their backstory, basically, and why this fucker killed their family. Okay, so when Lynn was first born, the parents actually adored them. Then, when they turned like 2, 3 years old, the parents just started to like hate on them and stuff like that, abused them with like bottles and stuff like that. Not glass bottles, cause they could have bled or something and died, but like plastic bottles that are filled with liquor and stuff like that. They still abused them when they turned like 4, but then Lynn started to grow some talent and be able to cook on their own and basically dance somehow. I don't know how though. Lynn got entered into like lots of contests so their parents can like earn money and shit. And when Lynn like cooks something like incorrectly, uh, the parents feel embarrassed and shit like that, and take Lynn home and like let him make him do like all the chores that parents are supposed to do when there's a child born and shit like that. Months or like years later, Lynn got entered into like a beauty pageant and shit like that. Lynn was like forced to wear dresses, have long hair, and other shit like that, and get abused when they don't do as their parents say. So Lynn felt guilty of their body and shit like that. So they became trans at the age of 7. They didn't tell their parents they were trans because if they did, they would have got kicked out the house and shit like that. So Lynn just kept it to themselves, and growing up, Lynn wasn't ever allowed out the house by themselves, so they couldn't like meet any friends or do anything like normal kids do. They just study because every school that Lynn gets enrolled into, um, Lynn gets kicked out of for basically no reason at all. And the parents consented that Lynn could like get like hurt in like school and shit. And so when Lynn like tries to defend themselves, they get in trouble. Lynn had like a special like illness where they can only see like shadows and everything else is black. And humans are just like silhouettes that are white and stuff like that. I made up the illness. I don't know what it's called yet, so Lynn made their own glasses for that specific illness so they can see like everything like a normal human can, but like the parents break them and shit like that. So every time Lynn tries to do something or see something, they only see like silhouettes. And growing up, Lynn started to have like major anger issues. And every time Lynn gets like yelled at, they just yell back, try to like hurt anyone in their way as easily as possible. Lynn was pretty weak though, that's the thing. But Lynn was stronger than their parents at the age of 10, which was surprising because the parents are like pretty strong. And when Lynn was growing up, they're like like their hair strings start to like change like movement during different expressions and stuff like that. And like at the age of 11 to 12, then figure out that they have like fire powers, and when they get angry they cannot control their fire powers, and it just goes like haywire and haywire. But when they first got him, Lynn was like uncontrollably hard to control him and stuff like that. So they burnt like a lot of stuff down on accident, but their parents still blame them about them like doing it on purpose because they hate them or something. Even though Lynn cares deeply about everyone and everything, and does anything to stop someone from hurting their family members. And growing up, Lynn started to have like trust issues and shit like that. So every time a person that like quote unquote loves them and shit like that, Lynn like sort of trusts them, sort of not. So Lynn gains trust, and that person tries to get trust with them. Then they just break up automatically at the age of like 13 and stuff like that. So like Lynn's 14, so let's go back to the little past for a minute. Lynn had a boyfriend named Jay. Jay was around 15, 14 at the time Lynn was dating him. Lynn was dating him at the age of 13 and stuff like that. Jay got hit by a car on their like first date when they were walking home. When the family, like mother and father, started to gain trust with Lynn a little, not much, but a little, and Lynn got blamed for the car crash and stuff like that, and Jay's cousin like hurts him and like blames Lynn for like stuff that happened to Jay. But Lynn, like, to this day, tries to look for this person that hit Jay with the car, so, like, Lynn can kill him and stuff. I know that sounds cliche and edgy, but let me continue. Growing up, Lynn was, like, pretty depressed. Lynn tried to kill himself, like, multiple times, but failed to the lack of idea and, like, plans that went into it. They tried multiple times, but they got weaker. Like, anything that Lynn tried to use, like, broke and shit like that. So Lynn just said, forget it, and let someone else kill him. Lynn found, like, multiple people that wanted to kill him, but they didn't do that because they have, like, a reputation they want to keep at hold and don't want to become a criminal and shit like that. So Lynn possibly tries to kill himself again and shit like that, and they failed again. When Lynn was 12, Lynn tried to come out to their parents that they were trans and shit like that, and they did, sort of successfully, but their parents kicked them out the house. Lynn like wandered for like forever until they saw like a church. Yes, a church. Don't ask why. It was a church, and there was like someone in the church that like welcomed Lynn into it, and Lynn just stayed there for a while. And I mean, for a while, Lynn and the person or whatever got along very well, and Lynn even calls them their mother to this very day. Lynn got siblings along the way as well, like 2 guy like brothers and 2 girl sisters, and Lynn was the oldest. Lynn cared about their siblings for all their heart to this very day, and even though they got bullied and shit in school and stuff like that, that's the reason why Lynn doesn't go to school anymore. They're actually pretty smart learning on their own. Lynn learned English by their like mother. They used to speak Spanish first of all, and the reason why they killed their family, like their parents and like their friends and stuff, because the brother and sister are still alive, but the reason why they killed their family is because they were abusive as fuck. Lynn was the maid of everything, and even though Lynn tried their hardest, the family wouldn't appreciate it and like ruined everything Lynn did, so Lynn had to redo everything and like sweat and like go insane to the point that they burned the house and the party completely down.